It's not just about what you know, but what you're willing to see.
So let me get this straight. This new Roblox event is pretty much a sequel to The Hunt, correct?
To put it simply, yes. Although this time, the stakes are a bit higher.
Well, what does that mean?
It means the 10 fastest people will fly to California and compete for $1 million!
No, I'm not doing that. I mean, like, come on, I barely got top 50 in the winter spotlight. It's hard enough for me to 100% every event, but I'm not gonna do it fast.
I don't know, the thought of competing for that much money is really exhilarating.
Starism, did you not hear him? We'd have to compete against the hundreds of thousands of other people playing this event. And considering the name of Mega Edition, I think this event's gonna be a bit bigger than usual. I'm scared to even 100% it. Well, the original had 100 games, so it shouldn't be too difficult considering this time there are only 25. In any case, since I'm definitely making a video of this, I gotta explain this to whoever's watching this. So I'm just gonna quickly give some background information, then we can get started. Hello everybody, my name is Starism, and welcome back to me suffering through events. This event also marks the 1-year anniversary of the first modern Roblox event. I didn't exactly look too great back then though. In between the year it took from that to happen and now, I've built an entirely new house, watched my twin get put in a robot vessel, moved to a new dimension, meeting a sentient game icon that turned into an object, almost getting killed because of living in that dimension, and then unexplainably waking up here in Nova City. Safe to say I've been a bit busy. But enough talking about me, let's talk about Roblox events. In March of last year, Roblox released the Hunt First Edition after years of waiting for a new Roblox event. This Dev Hunt style of event will be adopted for many future events to come. After the Hunt, we had the Classic, which was a retro-themed event, the Games, a flawed influencer team-based event, the Haunt, which was a costume contest with no game quests and could barely be considered an event, and the Winter Spotlight, a collection of games that had winter-themed updates. But before the Winter Spotlight even happened, Roblox was teasing this massive event that would happen in early 2025. And then, like clockwork, everything was lining up to a new event. Games were uploading cryptic badges, which could only mean that they were participating in events. Or so we thought. Because for some unexplainable reason, a ton of games uploaded badges when they just weren't participating. I'm not sure whether this was due to them backing out, not being able to get in, or if this was all just a massive troll. Eventually, there was a list of 100 potential games, and only 25 of them happened. Oh yeah, and the leaks also confirmed that this was indeed a sequel to The Hunt. On the 27th, Roblox confirmed the name, The Hunt Mega Edition, with the CEO of Roblox hinting that there would be a bit higher stakes this time. That being $1 million US, which is absolutely life-changing money if you do win. Except it wouldn't be as simple as just finding all of the tokens. Roblox was hinting at this being sort of a puzzle-themed event, with you needing to actually have a high IQ in order to win. There was also this theory that this was a continuation of the Ready Player One event. I mean, okay, I guess. And now that you're all caught up, it's time to get into things. Like I mentioned earlier, there will be 25 games with a token in each of them. What other surprises await us? I'm unsure, but there's only one way to find out. It's event time!
Hey, Starism? I forgot to mention this, but in order to get to this new event, you need to go to a certain place in this city.
Huh, okay, I'm pretty sure we had the only teleporter here. Maybe it's like an upgrade for our... So are you telling me this entire time there was a replica of the original Hunt's lobby in the city? I don't see another implication, so... Well, I think we all know what's in that portal. The first game of the event. Is everyone ready? Well, I mean, I guess.
As ready as I'll ever be!
Let's do this!
Alright then, no more stalling, let's get to it. A few hours before the event started, some games actually released their quests early. Basketball Legends being the first one that I did. Okay, I'm going to break character for a bit and give some background information to my situation here. My internet was extremely bad and Roblox kept kicking me. As to why that was, well...
I'm on a cruise ship.
Okay, now back to the game. In order to get the token for Basketball Legends, you need to face off in a 4v1 matchup against an extremely talented AI. This basically requires you to have pro players on your team. Anything short of that, and you'll see yourself and your team getting absolutely bodied. Thankfully though, after a few attempts, my team managed to win, landing me and everyone else their first token. This just wasn't really good at all. It was unfun just leaving everything to the pro players and having to server hop until you get lucky. It really doesn't feel like you're helping at all. Which is why I'm going to give this one a low score. Despite my poor internet, I managed to load into Pet Simulator and complete this token. This event is integrated with their already ongoing St. Patrick's Raid event. All you need to do is get to raid level 2, complete a tier 2 raid, and win. That's the entire thing. Yep, not even any original content, just do this event we already had planned.
But can't you spend Robux to make it faster?
That's the thing, you can't. All of this game's exclusive pets just mimic your best pet's stats. So how hard this is entirely dependent on the pets you had beforehand. In short, while this is a very bad quest, it beats their original hunt quest where it was just get to zone 25. I'm still confused why they didn't make any original content for this part of the event. Now, let's take a bit of a break because the hub just opened. The intro cutscene where you get your first token is copied right from the Winter Spotlight, and it follows mainly the same formula. Collect tokens to unlock 5 tiers of rewards and pay Robux to get the gold track. I am a bit confused as to why there are no hub minigames considering how this is supposed to be their biggest event. But I mean, hey, it's supposed to be about the race aspect anyway. The hub is serviceable, I guess. Now, let's go to our next game, Regretevator. Or not. Huh. To get the token in Regretevator, your task is to survive 10 floors. If you're familiar with the normal elevator, you're familiar with this game, kind of. A super wacky game that throws anything and everything at you, and you have to survive it, alongside meeting some wacky characters along the way. Regretevator is kind of a fun game, so I'll give it like slightly some points, but the fact that the entire quest is to just play the game kinda knocks off a lot here. Even if I do kinda like the game, it's still not that much of an excuse to just play the game for the quest. They could have done something like survive a special floor that pops up every now and then. Anything would have been better than just playing the game normally. In natural disaster survival, survive 3 rounds. Yep, that's the entire thing.
You know, Star, I'm kinda suspicious that a lot of these games only just have you play the game normally for their quest. Due to how big these development teams are, I'm kinda skeptical that something larger is at play here.
Well, if there's something bigger going on, it ain't here. Do I even need to explain why I don't like this one? It's just bland. Like, even the clock quest back in the original hunt was more engaging than this. I get that the game's simple, but like, come on. Chained was, to put it bluntly, frustrating. Now, in concept, this was a very good idea. I mean, for once, it's not just playing the game, they made a whole exclusive map for it. But in a 2-player obby where you have to completely rely on the other person for everything, it's just kinda eh. Some of the physics in general are just bad. Pulling someone up is completely unreliable. While it does save your checkpoints upon leaving, the person you're linked with has to have the checkpoint you're teleporting to. And it's really frustrating finding another link in another server who's at your checkpoint if the thing you're at bugs out like it happened to me. Also, the section at the end with the jump pads sucks so badly due to the physics. It's almost impossible to get a good jump. I can tell they tried here, there's no doubt about that, but this just wasn't fun. I'd give it a much higher score if the physics were reliable. And on that note, we're a 5th of the way through the games. I'm not exactly sure what that second stat next to the leaderboard is though. In any case, I accidentally recorded this after filming 2 more games, so I claimed a bit more items than I would have wanted. I also went ahead and got the Fragmented Robloxium bundle, which does look kinda cool, if not a little bit creepy, but it automatically unlocks the gold track, which would be 1,200 Robux. It's a bit too early for me to formulate an opinion on this event, so let's keep going. Eat the World is kind of on that line between just play the game and original quest. In order to progress to get the token, you need to give food to the noob. The more size you have, the bigger food you can get. You do need to upgrade a lot to get the bigger food, however, I already have a lot of upgrades from the games.
But you didn't get the size multiplier, you want one?
You're right, that would help me out a lot. I ended up spending around 250 Robux for upgrades.
Which was a very worthwhile purchase.
Yeah, for like 15 minutes. At first it kinda sucked having to get all of that size in order to get the better food, until I realized that you could just eat the food itself, which just made things a lot easier. In any case, the entire thing just felt really grindy. Having to go back and forth all those times just feels pretty tedious. At the very least, it was like kinda interesting as its own concept. While Rivals does have a pretty cool chicken character, the main objective is still pretty bland. Compete in a 1v1 and eliminate 5 players in a 2v2. It doesn't matter if you win the 1v1 or not, it just matters if you just do it. Primarily to make players familiar with the game. The game is fine enough to warrant a 3, but the quest is still incredibly lazy. Again, it just boils down to play the game. Admittedly, I was kinda scared of Metro Life considering how the quest in the original hunt was the balloon. However, this quest wasn't nearly as bad. Still sucked though. The objective is to take a bike to 6 landmarks and check in with them.
What it doesn't tell you is that you need to actually physically take a selfie at that location. This is nowhere stated in the game. A player could go to all 6 landmarks without realizing that they needed to take a selfie. And even if you could excuse that because of the guides, at the end of the day it's just going to where the arrow points, making for one incredibly bland quest. Like, yeah, you wanna show us the map. Cool, I guess? Could've made it, like, slightly more interesting, maybe have us play mini-games at the landmarks, I don't know. For Fisch, I spent 15 septillion years in data conversion hell before finally making it to the main island. Once I made it, all I had to do was buy and use 2 bait crates, take a boat to another island to get the token, go back, and I did it. Wow, it seems like a lot of these games is just playing the game, huh?
I'm telling you, Star, something has to be going on here. It can't just be this for the event.
You know, the more I play these games, the more I think you're right. Infection Gunfight, get 200 score. Look, I'm not even gonna try talking about this. Go around and shoot the zombies if you're a human, or tag humans if you're a zombie, whatever. I'm tired of every single one of these games' quests just being play the game. If they didn't have time to make a proper quest like in the original Hunt, it would make more sense. But this is just outright lazy considering how development for this whole thing started months ago. I don't know if Biddy is right and there's something bigger at play here, but these quests for these tokens are just bland. What's poppin' XX Starism 43XX fam? Today we are reacting to the scariest sounds on Roblox. Be sure to like and subscribe for more awesome content. Now let's see what the scariest sound on Roblox is. By the way, only 34% of you guys are subscribed, so be sure to leave a subscription and a like on the video. Clip It is essentially YouTube Shorts simulator. Your main goal is to go ahead and watch 20 of these clips. These clips can last up to like 30 to 60 seconds, so you could be spending up to 20 minutes doing this. Fortunately, I found out that if you go into another menu, go back into your feed, and scroll down, it counts as a watch. Thank God, too, any longer in this game and I'd end up like,
Short form content? Ooh, I love stimulation!
yeah, sorry Starism, but I'm not too big of a fan of this. Even if I didn't decide to skip the shorts, it would still be an extremely tedious process. Oh yeah, you also have to make your own short in order to get the badge, so there's that.
I wanted to upload my new series, Starism Apocalypse! My fan series to Skibbity Toy!
Yeah, let's go to the next game. Spongebob Tower Defense actually does something unique instead of just playing the game. It has its own story employing characters from SpongeBob's past. And also a story that's definitely a bit too over the top for an actual SpongeBob episode, I think. Because Plankton actually sets the city on fire. How does he do that underwater? I have no idea. He also employs people like the Dirty Bubble, Dennis from the original SpongeBob movie, and his giant robot from Plankton's Robotic Revenge. I didn't expect much from what at first glance seemed like another corporate game, but they did a pretty good job on this one. I'm glad that this game got in instead of Toilet Tower Defense. This game does it a lot better.
Skibbity Toy?
IT Girl is essentially a bootleg Dressed to Impress, in which I mean, like, why? Were the Dress to Impress developers too busy to make another Lana storyline? I would have been fine with the return of the King of Argos from ancient Greek mythology. In any case, in this game you need to play 2 rounds, earn 25 hearts, and give 30 hearts. In other words, play 2 rounds. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say, it's just making an outfit. After you get to a certain point, you don't even really need to do anything because you can just wait and get enough stars needed anyway. The worst you can get from someone is 1. The whole thing is practically just 10 minutes of waiting. Hang on, didn't I already try out this game a few weeks ago? It doesn't matter. For this game, you need to make 5 good dishes. So just play the game, alright, great. Just do what the game tells you to do quickly, don't mess up the quick time stuff, and you're good. That's practically all there is to it. Untitled boxing game was one of the ones I was excited yet scared for, since during the games it was really good but pretty hard. I am happy to say that they did cook here though. In order to get the token, you need to fight 2 bosses, each with 3 phases. The final phase being a drastic moveset change. It's pretty tricky to actually learn the movesets of your opponents, and I almost lost. However, I did manage to do both of them first try. The finishers especially look really well polished here. The effects here are insane. Never underestimate fighting game creators because oh my gosh. All around, this is a really good quest. These developers are really talented when it comes to this kind of stuff. Well, looks like we're over halfway done. Before we continue, I'd like to give a few thoughts about the event so far, since I feel like now's a good place to start forming a general opinion. From what I've noticed, a lot of games have their token as just playing the game, similar to the original Hunt. The thing is, in the original Hunt, there were 100 games, and developers were only given a few weeks to work on it. Here they've been given multiple months to complete their event, and they still do the same thing most of the time. But all of the games have multiple event badges, leading me to think that Biddy was right. Whatever that is though, I'm not at that point yet, so the only choice I have is to keep going. So let's see if these 10 games will be any better. Untitled Tag Game has a really nice operating system-esque aesthetic that I really like. And the game is really good. It's just that this is another one of those just play the game quests. Most actions in the game that net you progress give you cash. 350 cash nets you the token. While this is a really unique game that I would play again, the quest just isn't that good. Plus, it took me a long time in order to get the amount of cash needed for the token. I really wanted to give this a higher score, however I just don't have it in me to give this a 4. There could have been like a unique game mode for the token. Arsenal's quest this time is a direct continuation of the Hunt quest from last year. I really like that touch, it just ties everything together. It also keeps all the custom voice acting in the custom map too. And while I am going to give this a high score, it's not going to have as high of a score as the original one. Primarily because this felt oddly shorter. And there wasn't really any variety in the gameplay either, it was just go into the next room, shoot people, go into another room, keep shooting people. I don't know, I just feel like something's missing.
Well, the ending implies that this isn't the canon ending for it, so it could be that there's a secret.
True, I mean, the ending was a cliffhanger.
But all in all, this token was fine enough, even if it did feel a bit off. Oh boy, was I waiting for this one. I was super excited to play Pressure's event considering how good their event in the Haunt was. And the fact that they have a chance to redeem themselves after the Haunt was just nothing more than a costume contest pleases me. This is The Hunted, a direct prequel to the events of the actual game. You don't have your usual enemies, but there is one major threat that you will have to pay attention to a lot. And that is who I like to call the Bodyguard. This lovable little fella moves when you aren't looking at him. And he moves faster than you, so be sure to keep an eye on him at all times. If he does catch you though, it isn't an insta-kill, it's only 30 damage. He's even nice enough to let you back up. In fact, he thinks this whole thing is just a game. But he's not the only person to worry about. You have these stone creatures which deal 20 damage unless you flash them in time. Oh yeah, and the PNG monster that instantly kills you. There's no visual indicator for it, but the Bodyguard hides when it's coming, so you have to listen out for when that happens. Make it through 40 rooms and victory is yours. The Bodyguard even gives a little salute as you're leaving. This was one of my favorite quests in the entire event. Once again, the team really outdid themselves with this one, and I'm super excited to see where they go in the future. Blade League, it's like soccer, but it's Rocket League. Play a 2v2 match and score 5 goals. This quest is just hilariously lazy. I don't even think I need to explain why it's bad anymore, you just know. Thankfully, Drive World did something other than just play the game. In fact, they made 4 obbies exclusively for this event. Too bad they're not very good. Yeah, some parts of these obbies just feel horrible to play, especially with how some of the cars control. Some of these stages made me feel like I was playing a rage game instead of an actual fun obby. Yeah, I did kinda like the theming on one of the obbies, it felt like I was back in the classic. But all in all, I'll give them an A for effort. I mean, it's certainly something. Even if the car handling in this game isn't really too good for these precision obbies. Well, that's 20 out of the 25 games done, and it looks like we've only got 5 left. Hopefully we've moved past all the quests in which have you just play the game. My sentiment still stands about a bunch of these quests just being playing the game and not really being anything else. Yeah, when we have hits, they're hits, like Pressure or Arsenal, but we've had a lot of lows. With only 5 games left, will they be able to turn things around? Only one way to find out. The Bayside High School quest actually had partial voice acting, which was cool. And it had a neat premise and theming, basically being a Crossy Road clone, with its own story of you being trapped in the phone. There's one issue though, it only takes like, 2 minutes to complete? All you have to do is move 50 times and then you instantly get the token. I'd rank this a lot higher if it wasn't so short. As for the theming and quality, they're all pretty good. But this would be a bit higher if it was actually a lot longer. Car Crushers 2 was half play the game, half not. I can't really describe the quest because it's a bit of a quest line. First, you gotta get some tokens, which you can do from the derby. Then go in this specific crusher where you have to go on a water slide a few times. And then go on this path up the volcano for 2.5 minutes straight. Once you're finally done with that, you have to do a trick stunt all the way on that ramp over there.
Thankfully, it respawns you at the top of the volcano if you don't do it, but it was still pretty frustrating to pull it off in the first place. Whenever this game's quest wasn't play the game, it was just kinda bad in general. Especially with the 2.5-minute climb. I don't know, I just feel like they could have done more with it. The theming for this feels odd. Like, I feel like this was supposed to be made for the haunt? Whatever, at least it wasn't just playing the game. In order to get the token, I have to get to the end of this dungeon. Unfortunately, I don't deal too much damage, so it's kind of annoying.
Wait, Star, didn't you play this before? You have something in your inventory, right?
Oh yeah, it looks like I have a weapon of higher stats. It's only like a 15% increase in damage, but still, I'll take what I can get. I'm personally not too big of a fan of dungeon-based games, but I can definitely see that they tried here. It's just not too beginner-friendly. Like, you can do it, it's just that, like, you're probably gonna lose a life or two. Now, I know that Paradoxum Games does well on their quests for the events. And while I would be scared because their Winter Spotlight Elite token was ridiculously hard, this is only just a normal, regular quest, so I'm not too scared. Like with Arsenal, this is a continuation of their quest from the original hunt. However, sadly, I don't like this as much as the original, despite the fact that they kept the voice acting. The original had like this classic themed map that slowly got distorted. This is just like a crypt that has the path turn bluer and with more lightning. A pretty solid quest, but not as intuitive as their previous ones, sadly. It's still good for what it is, though. Finally, only one game stands between me and collecting every token. A Dusty Trip. A Dusty Trip is known for having infamously long quests. So I saved what I think will be the hardest for last.
Say stop!
Yeah, I already know, just give me the AK.
Wow, you're awfully hasty. No matter though, you made the right choice.
I didn't, but whatever. The first boss was around 800 meters in, and I needed to get out of my car. I tried bringing my AK into the fight, but it wouldn't let me, and now I have to stick with the normal weapons. Bosses normally consist of the same loop, having a lock-on thing, some special attack, sometimes spawning enemies, and then being stunned. Generally, it takes 3 attack cycles for the boss to go down unless you're too slow, in which it can be 4 or more. Next boss was 2,000 meters. I tried dropping my AK early so I could pick it up during the fight, but I accidentally dropped it too early, and my AK was locked behind invisible walls. This fight was also kinda harder in the sense that it actually spawned more enemies and had trickier attack patterns. After that, I almost had to restart because I almost drove my car off a cliff. I managed to recover myself, though. The final boss was this snow ruler who feels like they were meant for the Winter Spotlight but got scrapped. I finally got to use my AK, and after mowing the boss down, I got my 25th token, ending my collection of tokens. This was actually not as hard as I thought it would be. It was also just a really well-made quest, especially since this is now a permanent world in the game. Great job, developers! Now, let's go back to the hub and finish things up, shall we? Well, that's that. That's all 25 tokens in the Hunt Mega Edition. Though I'm not exactly satisfied, really. I get the feeling something's off. That can't be it, can it? There's still the unknown leaderboard stats, the extra badges.
Well, you'd be right. It's not over yet. Go back to Spongebob Tower Defense. I want to show you something.
Okay, I don't really have any other choice, but sure.
You see that X on the ground over there? Go ahead and try and dig something up from it.
Okay. What the heck, is that a treasure map? Wait, I think I saw something similar to that in the hub. Oh yeah, the trading area. Alright, so I go down here and open this door to the fragrance maze from that one episode. And now there's a map that some skeletons want to have? Fiddy, what is going on?
Those tokens aren't the only thing you're looking for. I'll go ahead and explain later.
Okay, so there's more to do, got it. So this is essentially a second Spongebob quest, with it being a lot harder this time and now with 20 waves. And at wave 10, another line of enemies can spawn. The final boss is, Smitty Werbenjagerman Jensen, whatever. After all of that, we get to look at the map. Wow, how helpful. Wait, now there's this cave in the event map. Whatever that was, it was a neat extension of the original quest for it. Once I get on the platform, I guess I have to do an emote to open the door. And after opening the locker, I get a mega token?
That's right, there are 25 mega tokens for you to collect. Meaning more, wise financial decisions you can make. Now go back to the hub, you'll find a surprise there.
Got it, okay. Alright, I'm back here. Wait, what? Why is the oh my god, what is happening? The whole hub just like lifted up? And now there's like a teleporter here? And now I'm in an entirely new area? Wait, but if there are 24 more mega tokens, I have to do all of this. This is one of the best quests in the event. To start your adventure, you have to find sort of like a pixel art portal in any of the maps. Now, this quest has its own storyline, and I love the decoration here. This evil CEO guy wants the token for $1 million. And you basically gotta end his reign of terror and escape. After scanning some prisoners, you get to break out of your cell. Then the real quest starts. Our goal is to break the reactor in the center of the facility. To do that, we need to shut off the coolant, overload the turbines, and get past everything. You first have to do a sneak segment where you get a keycard and go into the airlock. Then you shut off the coolant, which was kinda hard to figure out how you get up there. Do this turbine puzzle. It was kinda hard after a few minutes, but then I managed to figure it out easily. And then you get this epic cinematic scene where you race against the guy for the mega token and then just absolutely kick the guy into oblivion. Oh my god, this was cool. There's also this super cool escape sequence where you have to leave the facility before it blows up, and then get to the portal before the drones catch you. This was an absolutely phenomenal quest in all aspects. The one thing keeping me from giving this a 10 would probably be the fact that it is a bit finicky at times, and sometimes it was confusing on what to do. But besides that, this quest was absolute cinema. I really hope you guys get in the next event because wow. Okay, really quickly, I forgot to mention this, but you need to do the mega tokens in order. Meaning next up is pressure. In order to actually start the main quest, you need to find a code hidden in 4 parts of the lobby. This code is completely random based on the server you're in. Get to door 39, then go back. After backtracking for a while, a special door will open where you can input your code. Thankfully, once this step is done, you don't have to do any of the other steps that I mentioned before again. You just immediately get the decoder item. From here, you just do the normal token quest as you would normally, except you have to stop every now and then to do these radio mini-games, kinda. Tune into the right frequency, then go ahead and use your decoder to get a symbol. Once you get to the very end, you need to go down to the basement. Enter the decrypted code, and now the real fun begins. You also get another checkpoint, so from this point onwards, you can't lose any progress if you die unless you leave. After a short cutscene, it's time for the vault. An infinitely generating set of rooms where you need to collect 30 intensity fragments. These are very common item drops, but you have to worry about the bodyguard as well. At 7 intensity fragments, the PNG monster and stone monster will spawn as well. At 14 fragments, you have an oxygen tank that you need to refill or die. And at 21 fragments, lava puddles spawn. By the way, you only have 10 minutes to do all of this before you just instantly die due to the other PNG monster that's slowly approaching you. At 30 fragments, you win. This was a really nice extension from the normal tokens quest. And while this is also one of my favorites, I'm going to have to put Untitled tag games slightly above this one, primarily due to this one being a lot harder. It also felt like I shouldn't have gotten hit by the bodyguard at some points. Besides that, it's overall a great quest. Here we have our first puzzle. From here on now, every so often, we're going to have to go to the next area, and that requires doing a puzzle. Unfortunately, I was too slow to do expert difficulty, so we're just gonna have to settle on hard. This is a generic box pushing puzzle. Get all 24 boxes to their designated green spaces, and you get to unlock the next area. This wasn't too hard, but there were some points in which if you mess up, you have to redo the whole thing. After that, we unlock the block zone. It's too early for me to talk about the mega tokens yet, so let's just get the next set done. And just as I thought we were getting into the good stuff. Welcome to Chained. While this is one of the only quests that save your progress as you go throughout it, the checkpoint you spawn at is the least progressed of your duo, and if the other person leaves, then you get kicked too. So good luck finding someone who's willing to cooperate. Did I also mention that this is a pretty buggy quest too? And even if you don't count the bugs, it's still not a good quest in general. For example, this one, where the buttons in the correct order have a sequence of 4 light up blue and you need to get it in 4 attempts.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad. Wait a minute, don't tell me it randomizes every time.
Okay, I won't.
Sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
Regardless, this was extremely frustrating to do. Oh yeah, by the way, if one of you die, both of you die. So you're gonna have to pray that your partner is skilled enough. But the worst part about this is the final chase. Oh my god, you need to be so quick here. This chase becomes a game of memorization, because if you're even so much as a few frames off, you die and have to restart the chase again. It took an hour to finally get this quest done. This quest wasn't fun hard, it was miserable hard. The only thing keeping me from giving it a 2 or the 1 is because I can tell they actually put effort into it. but the unfair difficulty and the bugs are preventing me from giving it a higher score. Okay, so my recorder bugged out and I couldn't record this one, so I'm just gonna have to describe it to you the best I can. First, you needed to scour the training map and find X-shaped targets. They're like the ones you see now, but tilted 45 degrees. That opens a room, in which then you have to get 15 kills with the AR and then go ahead and collect blueprints in 3v3s. And then you fight one of two bosses, with the main difference being the loadout you and they use. Some people said the boss was hard, but I beat it in a few attempts. The target one was torture though. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't get any of the footage for this. I'll make sure this doesn't happen again. Clip it. Go to 5 different locations by solving riddles, equip this one random off-sale item for each, and you got yourself the Mega Token. One of the easiest and lamest Mega Tokens in this entire event. Which is confusing considering how the last time they did an event they had this whole entire scary maze thing. Why was this just bad? World 0 is just confusing. So first you go to this cave, step on this pedestal, and get very vague clues about where stuff is. I was guided by a friend, but I would have no clue how anything but an endgame player would figure this out. Once you do that, you have to do this puzzle where like there are symbols and like a bunch of numbers and colors around the room. And then you have to apparently like add the numbers of the same color together and then input them in the direct color combination. Doing that unlocks the boss fight. This boss took me 10 minutes due to underleveled equipment and me constantly glitching into the floor because of me using a normal attack. There's also a phase where you have to get behind a shield or die sometimes and the attacks are stronger. I'm going to have to rate this the same as its normal token counterpart in terms of rating. I can tell they tried, but the gameplay just isn't there for me. Another set of games done and another puzzle to complete. The block zone has this like sort of ice physics push block puzzle, where you need the blocks to trail over the keyhole blocks and eventually the goal block. Except if they touch the outer perimeter, you can't use them anymore. This one took me a solid 20 minutes to figure out, but then again, this was on expert difficulty. In terms of the games we just played, I feel like they had effort put into them. Well, most of the time, cough cough, clip it. But they were flawed. All I can really do is hope that the next few games are better. I am already getting nightmares from the Winter Spotlight Elite token. Let's just hope that this one won't be as torturous.
You already know the deal by now.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I only had to go around 270 meters. Once you get to this distance, you can look to your left and find an obby. Here you have to go ahead and bring a bunch of microwaves up to the top of the hill so that you can place them on a portal. The problem is you can only hold them for like 5 seconds at a time until they explode. I would say this is tedious, but it did keep me on my toes because of the timer. But then, when the portal opens, Tim from Time Travel Adventures shows up. Oh my god, you cannot believe how surprised I was. Time Travel Adventures was my childhood. This game was from like 6 years ago and ended on a cliffhanger that never got resolved. This just made me nostalgic that they're finally bringing it back. So then this other evil character, Dr. Time, brings in Mecha Dr. Zero.
Dr. Zero being the final boss in a different game that Jandel made, Field Trip Z. The boss was moderately difficult, but still followed the same format. 3 stun cycles, spawning enemies, dodging special attacks, the whole ordeal. But this time, there's a whole second phase, with its own harder set of attack cycles. Once you do that, Dr. Time pledges to return someday, and we get the Mega Token. I was going to give this game a 6, but the fact that they acknowledge time travel adventures of all things after 6 years of it being abandoned convinces me to give this game a higher score, even though I am a little bit biased. Oh boy, Infection Gunfight. This is a name that strikes fear into anyone playing this event. Because the version of this before the nerf, also known as the one that everyone wanting to get on the leaderboard had to do, was miserable. So much so that their Discord server got raided. And also their game being dislike bombed. But Star, you might ask, how is this quest so bad? Well, let me tell you. First, you need to find goggles in a random part of any map. That's easy since it's in every map. But then, you need to find the letters. In the original version of this, you had to spell Mega Hunt with 8 letters in a row. These letters could be obtained by either dealing 1000 damage to zombies as a human, or just tagging a human as a zombie. The problem is, the letters can be any letter of the alphabet, and only change after around a minute. And if you get the wrong letter or get any letter out of order, you need to restart the whole thing. Oh yeah, one more thing. If the 5 rounds in a match are up, or anyone else gets the token in your server, you also have to restart, making for one of the worst experiences in this entire event. Oh yeah, by the way, good luck doing this in a small server where everyone is willing to cooperate, because there are bots. Yes, the developers programmed bots into the game. I barely managed to do this in 45 minutes, so it should go without saying that this is the absolute worst this event has to offer. At least they nerfed it after a few hours. Basketball Legends is simple, so I'll make this brief. To begin, you want to go into the Hall of Fame and then press this lever. Once you do that, aimlessly walk around the map until you find a code. With only one part of the code, you can kinda brute force the other 2 parts. Once you do that, go to the practice court, and then you have to input the code by stepping on these colored shapes and then making the basketball shots. Except you can't miss when inputting the code, and the time is kinda tight in order to get a perfect shot. Once you do that, you're face to face against an AI, in which you can just spam dunk and hopefully win. The AI tries to go for actual throws, which sometimes miss, while as with dunk, you're guaranteed to get it. You just need to be kinda quick with the balls. All in all, this quest was just kinda meh. The code can be easily cheesed, and the strategy to beat the AI isn't really that fun. Plus, you have to re-enter the code every time you want to re-challenge the AI. Metro Life is kind of a quest line, and not a very good one at that. First, you need to go to the mayor, who says solve my riddles 3 and asks you to find the map pieces. You can just teleport to the general location and then find the NPCs in that area. First, you grab a chainsaw to cut down the branches, use a cleaner to clean some graffiti, and then use a ladder to grab a cat from a tree. It isn't over just yet though, because now you actually need to find the vault. You go ahead and go back to the mayor, who goes ahead and shows you the map, in which then you need to click the map in order to spawn an X. Dig where the 4 points meet, and you found yourself a safe. Now go find the code. While you do get the general location, it's kinda hard to find the actual code numbers due to them being hidden in plain sight. Like, how was I supposed to find out it was on this random tree? Go back to the vault, enter the code, get the token. I'm giving this a low score because you're kinda left in the dark for a lot of it. Going for a guide is pretty much necessary here. And if you don't have one, good luck. Back at it again at Hell's Kitchen. This is thankfully one of the more easier quests. To start off your adventure, you need to look at the ceiling of the finishing area, take a photo of it, and then leave. When you're back in the lobby, there should be a secret path to the basement. Once you're there, there's a set of TVs in which you need to enter in the combination that you saw on the ceiling. And now, a secret vault opens with a mysterious person leaving, commentated by Gordon Ramsay. Gordon's most prized recipe was stolen, and we need to find the fragments of it. The first one is behind the lobby, then in the starting area, the top middle of the kitchen, and the finishing area. After that, you need to cook the dish that you just found well. Oh yeah, also there's a food critic. You need to score 130 or higher, and I got 141, which allowed me to win and go ahead and go back to the basement to return the recipe. But just as we do so, the scary hood figure locks us in the closet. We open the electrical box and catch the hooded figure red-handed, who turns out to be the food critic himself. Huh.
You know, that played out exactly like a Scooby-Doo episode. What the heck?
Well, this game is owned by a television network. In any case, this quest was just meh compared to the other ones. It wasn't offensive in any way, but like, come on, this was just kinda bland. To be fair, it's not just playing the game, is it? Alright, puzzle number 3, this shouldn't be too hard. Oh my goodness, it's an 8x8 slider puzzle! I have never done one of these in my life. Oh my god, this is gonna be a nightmare. I can't even do a 4x4 slider puzzle. I was considering just waiting until the hard version came out, but at the same time, I needed that sense of closure. It took me an hour and 12 minutes to solve the puzzle. I had to go online to figure out how to generally solve slide puzzles to begin with until I came up with the strategy of just doing it one layer at a time. I couldn't just use an online puzzle solver because then I would have to link all of the misplaced tiles, which I just couldn't do. But I did utilize some help from an online puzzle solver in order to go ahead and just solve 3x3 issues alongside the final bits. But I was so relieved when I finally managed to complete it. The hard difficulty version would later tone things down from an 8x8 to a 4x4. Nevertheless, this experience taught me to never underestimate puzzles. At the moment, we're just around halfway through the mega tokens. Only 13 remain. But are all of the good tokens already out of the way? Let's find out! The main part of this quest is something I did not expect from Arsenal. Grab a gun from the side, then shoot a target on the ceiling. This lets you do a valve turning puzzle, which opens a door. That unlocks a lab, in which you need to find the correct parts for and assemble some sort of helmet device. Then you have to make a chemical using the vials around you and looking at the notes to figure out what goes first. Put the chemical in the freezer, take it out, put it in the device, and then equip it. This teleports you to like an Earthbound-esque RPG, I think? With custom artwork? It has its own battle system and everything. Along the way, there are mandatory and side fights in which can net you items if you complete them. Early along into the mission, you recruit the rabble-rouser, which is basically the healer. Over time, your party gets stronger as you unlock new abilities. Down the line, you meet Ninja, who can take out flying enemies. Eventually, while the main character is deciding whether to stay with his friends and fight or to just run away now, you have a silly Billy moment. It's basically just a souped up version of you. This gives you the Goldify ability, which deals a ton of damage and hits flying enemies. After an onslaught of enemies, the final battle is against a tank. I'm gonna be honest, I significantly downplayed the stuff that happens here because it's just kinda long, but it's still really good. Arsenal did a very, very good job at creating a unique quest for the event. Nice work! Natural disaster survival has us help this poor anchored guy by going to the secret lab. How do we do this? By going to the map shown on the figures, then talking to the NPC on each of them to get a clue on what to put for the disaster. I have a feeling this would be a lot harder in public servers, however, you can select the map in private servers, making this quest pay to win. Congratulations, Natural Disaster Survival, you somehow managed to make your quest pay to win. Are you proud of yourself? I also didn't expect this from Meet the World, but not in a good way. You start off by looking across the entire map for a hexagon-shaped button. For some players it was hard to find, but for me it was okay. Then you play an awfully long game of Simon using the arrows in the menu, break a hidden wall in a cave in order to access the purple egg, feed it to the noob, and then the real fun begins. Because you need to scale a mountain in order to get this mega token. One issue, the purple egg is also destroying the floor underneath you, with there only being one checkpoint at the bridge. There are also safe spots on the stairs, well, for some of them. It took me a while to do this one because if you even stop paying attention for a split second, you're dead. In my opinion, this kind of felt more rage gamey than Quest, and the fact that you're rarely given breaks here. Plus the general scavenge the map for the button thing from earlier. At the very least, it was exciting enough to not leave me bored and also not just play the game. This development team could do a lot better, just please make the next one not so annoying. Car Crushers 2 was, to put it lightly, confusing. First, you had to go to the original destruction facility, prior to the massive map revamp that just happened. Then you go downstairs and just hug the walls until you find this magical secret door that opens. Then play a derby match and then there'll be a key on the wall. For some reason, people didn't know that you needed to open the door before this, and thought it was win or get 500 score, so a ton of people were confused on why they weren't getting the key, including me. Once you go back to the room and insert the key, you have to go to the freezer in the original map, go back to the updated map and do all of the crushers in the first row, then just go to this random place on the hill and look for a hole in which you can drop your car into? What? How did people figure this out? Go back into the original map, open the door, and then there's the mega token. I'm giving this a 4 in difficulty to balance out using a guide and not using a guide. But this quest was just weird. A borderline play the game quest. Blade League's quest was just really cheesable. So for the first part of this quest, you need to look in every map and look for little parts that have numbers on them. This corresponds to a code on a keypad. Once you have all the numbers, all you need to do is just enter in the code and you can start a boss fight, which is just a souped up 1v1 first to 6 against whatever a galaxy ogre is. At first, I was being absolutely bodied and was at 0 to 4, but then I developed the strategy of dashing straight to the ball and watching as the Galaxy Ogre chased after it until it just hit the goal by itself, which just felt hilariously cheesy. Using this strategy, I managed to win first try. This quest felt meh in general. It's just the general nature of the game that kinda doesn't allow it to do anything else. They did what they could, although it was still kinda eh. Now, Bayside High School took me a bit longer than usual because I was actually on pace with everyone else. So to start off, you need to grab a camera and take a photo in the principal's office. Drink a coffee when the coffee molecule shows up. Show a sign that says 247 in the history room. Type in died in the piano. Place a whole pizza on a desk with a calculator? How do people find this out? Moreover, how does this relate to opening the bunker over there? Oh, and you'll never guess what you gotta do next. You go to this specific desk and you spam the fart emote? Again, like, why? Because that disables the pipes by blowing it up or something? Then there's a principal boss fight where you gotta throw bombs at him. Okay, that's more normal, I guess. Plus, it utilizes the Crossy Road thing from earlier. Also, this is kinda really hard. Alright, so now that we absolutely killed the principal, we get our Mega Token. I'm giving this a low score because the puzzles just didn't feel like they connected to anything at all, and that they were nearly impossible to figure out on your own. Whatever, at least we have enough Mega Tokens for the next zone now. Well, time to spend another hour on a puzzle. Wait a minute, it's actually easy? What? Okay, so apparently this puzzle is actually like a lot easier than the previous one for some reason. Like, aren't they supposed to get harder as time goes on? This is just a simple laser maze. Regardless, I was actually one of the first people to finish this batch, landing me 52nd on the leaderboard. However, there's still one batch left, and all aspects of the race up to this point haven't mattered. It's now all or nothing. 7 games left. Whoever wins this makes history. It's time to end this, once and for all. The first token of the final batch is Regretevator. To start your quest, you have to press this button behind this TV. This will go ahead and trigger some dialogue from the previous quest giver, basically telling you to find the lore. Except there's a path illuminated by the button in which leads to the attic. In this attic is a box with a lock on it. Firstly, you need to collect 4 notes that can spawn on any floor. They spawn pretty often. Once you do that, you have to utilize the hints on the notes in order to get corrupted fragments that are in the lobby. They weren't too hard to find if you knew where to look in the basement. Once you do that, you need to decrypt the floppies by playing minigames. This is stuff like timing minigames, press the arrows as fast as possible,
Press the buttons in order, or a mix of the previous ones. Once you decrypt all 4, you get a finalized code in which you can enter in the box. You can't brute force the code either, because it's constantly random until you get all 4 of them. Input the code in the box, and you get the token. Gonna be honest, I was kinda disappointed with this quest. I don't know, I was just expecting a bit more from the Regretevator team considering what they've done in the past. Next up on the list is Tower Defense Simulator. To begin, you need to go to the terminal in the lobby and enter in the code Redcliffe Falls. Doing this unlocks a new mega difficulty in the event. I'm really happy it has its own difficulty now because in the Winter Spotlight, if anyone didn't have the requirements, it immediately shut you out of letting you try for it. Now it only pairs you with the people who have the requirements, which is nice. One small issue. This is a hard quest. You either need to be really skilled at managing the loadout you get or have other people carry you. After a few attempts, I managed to get a good server and we beat the Wave 20 boss, which was basically a revenge of the first boss from a year ago. Overall, this is a pretty serviceable hard mode for the original normal token quest, so I'll go ahead and rank it the same way. There's not much else to be said except that you have to use the preset loadouts. Infection Gunfight, I owe you an apology. This stupid quest prevented 99.9% of people from having a shot at the million. Let me tell you why. After completing a raid, you get a special key in which you can go to this house and say knock knock. Entering it goes into this treasure room. And this is where people got stuck for 2 hours, excluding around 100 people who gatekept it from everyone else. To be fair, I would gatekeep the information too. There were so many theories. There were like hidden letters everywhere. People were thinking you had to say a code in the middle or in the podium, whatever. Do you want to know what the actual solution was? First off, you need to click these runes on the wall that very, very vaguely resemble the word Gunter. There is no indication whether you click a rune or not. This spawns a pot of gold, but touching it tells you that you aren't lucky enough. So then, you need to click every clover in the entire raid. Again, no indication that you need to do this, and no indication that this is the right thing to do. There were no hints about this. No journey or will earn you this mega token. This is the absolute worst quest in the event. Not because it's hard, because you are completely left in the dark. Drive World is up next, and this time there's an alien invasion. To start off, you'll want to find 4 UFOs. Under each of them is a pad containing a symbol. You'll want to take screenshots of them for later. They aren't too hard to find, but the map is pretty expansive. Now comes the fun part. You see this ball? You gotta roll it across the entire map. Yes, you have to meticulously roll this ball the entire map onto a platform.
Well, you could just buy a faster car.
Fiddy, I don't think that's the issue. The issue is that this is extremely tedious, and no amount of Robux will fix that.
Well, I tried.
Once you finally get the ball into the hole, a keypad unlocks. Utilize the code from earlier, open the vault door, and get your mega token. This one was hilariously unfun, but not flat out painful. I mean, it would be if I didn't get the ball in the hole on the second try. 3 tokens left. I can do this. It's time for Untitled boxing game again. You'll want to go to the very back of the map and find a hidden rope on the ring. Once you're there, you'll find a terminal in which you can hack. This initiates a minigame in which you need to say yes or no on whether the text of the color lines up with its actual color. And then for a minute, you're given infinite stamina in which you can dash fly.
Whoa! You're hacking? That's so cool! It reminds me of a Linky Box video!
Yeah, okay, cool. After flying for a bit, we get a fake kick message, which immediately turns into horror. This weird, ominous entity says that it'll always be watching me. We then get teleported to this weird sky obby, where some voice then tells us that there's no time to explain and that we need to find a way out. There was this one tricky part where the path was supposedly corrupted and I had to take a secret route. After finishing the obby, we're thrown back into the terminal minigame. Except it's a bit harder considering how you need to do more now. Once you do that, you have 1 minute to fly past all of these kill bricks in order to reach a portal to what I think is the Void. It's here that we initiate a secret 3-phase boss fight. I don't know enough about this game to tell apart the attack patterns of this boss fight and the normal token ones, but all I know is that sometimes there's this like slash attack in which you need to quickly dodge to the side. Once again, amazing VFX. The ultimate deals like half of your health if you get hit by it. Well, half of one of your 3 health bars. Beat all 3 phases and you get the Mega Token. Once again, this is a nice extension of the original normal token quest line. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Alright, 2 tokens until I'm out of this nightmare. The introduction to IT Girl's quest has you go ahead and find a remote, in which you then have to find 3 batteries for it. You can do this in a free play server, so thankfully there's no timer. You then flip through the channels until you get a news report. Okay, yeah. What? I don't know, something about an incredibly unnerving model of a Roblox woman in front of an AI-generated city, it just kind of feels off. So this quest is kinda in the style of Dress to Impress ones, although there is no King of Argos from ancient Greek mythology. It starts off kinda like an escape room, with you having to find a bunch of items throughout the rooms that you're given, primarily a code. Getting the code unlocks a vault which gives you a bottle and a keycard. Using the keycard opens up an obby. A man wanted that, I had to pull out the camera trick. That gets you a frame in which you can use all of the items you've collected to build kinda like a gun. This lets you break the glass for the second keycard, which opens the core room. It's here we have a boss fight where your objective is to shoot the core down. Yeah, that's definitely safe. Every 25% HP though, another mini game will activate. The first one having you enter in a password you got earlier. Once you do that, the robot next to the computer just turns into a human for some reason, and they've been in there for 5 years. Other minigames include a timing-based thing, clicking the numbers in order, and memory match. After that, the evil core is finally gone. Now, the lore here is that supposedly human spirits were powering the robots, and the scientist was trying to free them this whole time. Dang, putting actual souls inside a robot body? Yeah, and the crazy part is that sounds so realistic, like it could actually happen. In any case, this token was serviceable. Like, it was fine enough, I guess. Here we are. One final mega token. Fishing. This one was kinda confusing to start, but once I started, it was pretty easy to finish. Once you get the quest, you have to find this vault on this island, in which you need to turn the pillars in order to unlock the vault. You also have to do it in like 40 seconds or it resets. After that, the second part is the maze. While it isn't too large, you only have a limited amount of time to complete it before it sends you back to the start. Finally, we have the melody section. Do a short obby and get to Cthulhu's head, who then plays a melody. Now comes the annoying part. You gotta catch 8 fish and then listen to their melodies. Line up the music note in terms of the order from the previous melody. Do that 8 times and unlock the vault. Oh yeah, and if you take too long, the whole thing resets, so be quick. I recommend writing down Cthulhu's melody. Open the final door, grab the mega token, bring it back, and now you have all of the mega tokens. In terms of that specific quest, I didn't really like the tediousness of the fishing part, and the maze was a bit dull. Now, there's only one thing standing between me and completion. One final puzzle. In this puzzle, you are given a set number of shapes, which you have to fill in the entire frame. While if you know what you're doing, it doesn't take as long as the other puzzle where you had to do the slide tiles. But this one also took me like an hour and a half to figure out. It's so frustrating when you think you almost have the solution, but because you did another part wrong, you fail. As a one final challenge, this kinda fits the bill. Not through an epic boss fight, but through sheer difficulty. But, against the odds, I completed the puzzle and finished the Hunt Mega Edition. A bit anticlimactic, but hey, we've won. That was an adventure and a half. It just felt like it dragged on and on and on. Feeling even more elongated by the time gates. Speaking of the time gates, I kinda feel like it ruined the entire event. If the purpose was so that it's a race, then the time gates kinda make it so that only the final segment matters. Unless you count the up to 30-minute time bonus. Which can really only get you so far if everyone's stuck on one thing. And with the final segment having Pet Simulator's quest be stupidly hard, it made this massive, super frustrating barrier which prevented the vast majority of players from figuring it out. Oh yeah, also, speaking of the vast majority, most public servers dedicated to figuring out the event were kinda screwed if you wanted to be first place. Because top influencers were also looking in those servers, and the second that they figure it out, everyone figures it out. So in order to be on that leaderboard, you either need to be very smart or have friends who are willing to tell you. So in general, the whole race aspect of it was flawed. As for what will happen in the Mega Final, I don't know yet, since this video will be out before then. Now that we've talked about the actual premise, let's go ahead and talk about the games themselves. First off, the normal tokens. While there were some hits like Pressure and A Dusty Trip, the vast majority of the normal tokens had you just play the game, primarily due to the fact that all of the effort was put into the Mega Token quests. In future events, it just should all be one centralized quest per game. That way, part of the quest that you have to do for the event isn't rushed. Because it really felt obvious that some of the normal tokens were rushed in favor of the mega ones. Yet you still have to collect all of the normal tokens to get the mega ones, so the first half of the event just feels like a slog. I mean, unless the game itself is fun, and that's subjective. In my eyes, a perfect event would be one where every developer is willing to create a totally unique quest for it. But even then, that's not guaranteed to be fun. Case in point, things like Chained. While I do think Roblox is starting to learn from events like the games and the Haunt, Roblox is still quite a ways away from creating an all-around good event. So in general, this is my updated ranking of Roblox events. While I was originally going to rank Mega Edition above First Edition, the general failed race aspect of it kinda sets it back a bit. And while the game selection and quality of the games is generally a bit better than First Edition, I'm ranking First above Mega because of the slog that is the 25 normal tokens. If this event was just the Mega tokens, it would have actually competed with the Classic. But alas, this event's flaws kept it from reaching its true potential. Yeah, the super high stakes of $1 million made it really promising. But when that opportunity is only limited to friend groups with the public hunting servers being looked at by live streamers, the idea of a race kinda falls flat. So in general, was this event a failure? Meh, depending on how you look at it. I mean, it technically achieved its goal of letting the best hunters out there compete for a super special prize. But at the same time, they marketed things like anyone could win, and that the entire thing was a race other than just the final day. In general events, I like the idea of releasing content over multiple days. It makes things a lot more interesting, and I wish this would get utilized in future events. But in terms of a race formula, it just doesn't work. In any case, it's time to go home now. Farewell, The Hunt Mega Edition. See you next time. I'm tired. Anyone else want to give some final thoughts before I go back to bed?
0 out of 10, no skibbity toilet.
It was alright, I guess.
I am not legally allowed to give my opinions.
Hey Fitty, even though you kinda tried to sell us on a lot of things, I'm happy that you stuck along for the ride. And not with the purpose of telling us that we're gonna die in 3 weeks. Right?
Oh no, don't worry, you're all good. I had a good time too.
Say Fitty, one more question. How did you know about the Mega Tokens? And furthermore, how did you know about the event in the first place?
Oh, I just get it from my informational sources, that's all.
Alright, I'm not gonna question that. See you around, Fitty.
See you soon, Star!
I'm going back to my wonderful world of stimulation. See y'all soon.
And now it's just us again. What now?
I think it's best if we just take a rest for now.
After that, we should probably explore the city more. Who knows what we'll find? In any case, for the viewers, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time!